Welcome back to the Punched channel. I thought I'd do a small channel update video and talk about some things going on. Um, it's going to be interesting because this is middle of August and my kids are back in high school, both of them in high school, yay. And so there have been some changes in terms of the amount of time that I have available and the quantity of time at any one sitting, of course, right? I'll probably have an upcoming video on game-life balance, at least from my perspective, and I'll look forward to interacting with you in your comments to that video when it comes out. Um, by the way, we're taking a look at Italy 43 right here. This is not the normal perspective I would use when I'm going to talk about the game. It just happens to be a nice background. So in this channel update, I'm just going to talk about what's coming up over the next 2-3 weeks, through the end of the month likely. And some of it will be things that you see, well, soon, right? Soon, almost now. Some of it will be things that you might eventually see. I'll probably make videos when things that are cooking are fully cooked, and then some upcoming things, upcoming activities. So first off, I'm going to talk about recent games. So let's see if I can manage to do this. I practiced this, yeah, once. So the shelf, my shelf, such as it is. This is not everything that I have. I have a closet as well, but this is what is on the shelf. Now, I've done channel updates before. I'm not going to belabor and go, play by play by play by play. I will point out that the bottom shelf contains the games that I have played this year in 2026 since 1 January. That's a lot of games. Why so many games? I was in a 12-game challenge. Play 12 games in 12 months. And I got to thinking, one, I signed up for it. It's sort of like the military. You sign up for something, and then at some point later on, you realize, wow, did I really raise my hand for that one? And then the answer is yes, of course you did. And now, man up. Uh, so I determined that I would play oftentimes multiple scenarios, but I was working generally on the smallest scenarios available to tick the box with the understanding in my mind, anyway, that I would and come back and revisit each of the games that I liked uh, in more depth and more detail. A couple of the games, right? So, Battalion S3. By the way, I will have a link for these bags. You can get them off Amazon. They're really great. They hold a magazine game fairly well, and I use one of them for carrying instruction manuals back and forth in my backpack to and from the office and wherever else I might happen to want them. So, sorry, Battalion S3, for example, I think I plumbed the depths of that one. I don't have to revisit anytime soon. This one, Command and Colors Ancients, I'm interested. There is an 8th edition coming out. We'll make sure I get that in the field of view. These were the then current rules, and I played a friend's copy. And this is Battles in the East. Hopefully that's somewhat visible. Stalingrad Relief. And I had a couple of playthroughs on that one. A most enjoyable game and a very rewarding game system to play. And I will return to that. Now, I gather there Battles in the East #5, which should include battles in the Kalach area and in the vicinity of Belyy. So that would be generally Fall Blau, like Fall Blau 2, if you will. I think I've got that right. And Operation Mars later in 42. That's going to be coming out, late next year, 27, maybe 28. Actually, I thought it might have been 28, 29, but still, it's on my list. Okay, what are the 3 things that I picked up or concluded most recently? Well, let's see. I'll talk about 4 things. It's better. Holland 44. I concluded that last month in July. Panzer Battles was earlier, for the most part, in July. you're still seeing videos on that because with Panzer Battles, I played, my final play was the large scenario. The large scenario, it was 6 turns, but every turn has about 8 activations. And so I made a video for every activation. That's a lot of videos. I'm using it, I hate to say this, but I'm kind of using it for filler material in the event that I don't have a video ready to go on a particular day. Now this, can I get the magazine out? Bear with me. Come on. Oh, I know I've got it. This is Sicily 2. Come on, it's got it in here. Is that it? That's it. All right. Operational Matters, right? With Sicily 2. And I played 3 scenarios out of it. It was my first go at trying an operational combat series game. And I had bought Sicily 2 because, well, it had the Operational Matters magazine and it was specifically set up for that. So there's a story there, let me tell you. Okay, so I played Gila Counterattack, and you've seen the video or videos on it. I played Western Sicily, and that was fine too. Then I almost walked away. I almost didn't play Primosul Bridge. Why? Air. There's a lot of air. Operational combat series games typically have a lot of air units, and particularly when you have opposing air units, there's a lot of additional play going on. And so I made my Primosul Bridge video, my last one, and I tried to be as neutral as I could about it. And then you'll see these guys over here. I took my Enemy at the Gates in my Korea the Forgotten War games, which I had bought in the order purchased first, purchased and received second, received, uh, uh, actually purchased first, received second, purchased second, received first. This was in the mail apparently. And then Sicily 2, of course, was the third one. I put these on in the closet. I've got a for sale shelf. I promptly put these on the for sale shelf. And then I slept on it and I got to thinking on it. And by the evening of the day after Primosul Bridge, I was getting into the boxes because I knew that Enemy at the Gates has a chair scenario, battles on the chair scenario, and they have a Stalingrad relief with no air. And I can deal with supply. And I got into Korea, and I'm looking at the Korea specific rules, and most of there's not an overabundance of air to air in these initial battles. So, you know, I promptly pulled them and put them back on the play shelf. So likely I will get into those at some point. I do have to say though, OCS is, there's a lot to unpack there. I think it's going to be an acquired taste, but I've already kind of started to acquire that taste. Darn it. You know, we've all heard the phrases, you know, at least here in the States, too big to fail, right? Or I think there's a book, you know, be so good they can't ignore you. OCS, so good you can't ignore it. All right. Anyway, Panzer Battles, Holland 44, Sicily 2. Now, there was one game that's not on the shelf. There's a story there. Drive on Voronezh. So Legion War Games had a sale, week before last? It was an end of July sort of sale. I think it was in honor of their of Consim World Expo. And so they dropped prices on a number of games and also announced the availability of Drive on Voronezh. And I thought, East Front, operational. As you can tell, no, I hate East Front operational, don't I? Yeah, you know, really hate it, can't stand it. No, it's not my favorite kind of game. And by the way, I've got Autumn for Barbarossa right here. You know, I really do like East Front operational, by the way. East Front operational, Operation Mars, volumes 1 and 2, coming to a store near you but not in a time frame near you, not quite yet. Anyway, I bought Drive on Voronezh. I had a gift card that it would fit into that was expiring at the end of the month, and the choice came down to Drive on Voronezh or North Africa 40. And I thought, well, this is my I haven't played it shelf, right? Scheduled for play, haven't played it yet. And I thought, well, do I really want an expansion when I haven't even played the game? On the other hand, it's a Simonich game. But the Drive on Voronezh was an impulse buy. I was happy to get it. It was the first, is that entirely true? I would say so. It was the first time, no, Italy 43 is relatively recent. It was the first time that I got a game that had just been released by the publisher, and I was very happy to have it and get it, so on. And you'll see my Drive on Voronezh. I did 3 videos on it: unboxing, turn 1, and turn 2. And I had a realization during turn 2 about the victory conditions and what I thought about those. It's explained in the video. I'll include the link below. And I realized, okay, good game. By the way, Drive on Voronezh, that particular series, that is a good game series. I look forward to seeing other games by, I believe it's John Thyssen. He has an Eastern Front operational quad game coming out from Compass, and it's bubbling its way up to the top of their production queue. It's actually 5 games, five fingers, 5 games in one, because it has 4 quad games, but 2 of the games are the northern. Basically, it's the initial attack on Second Kharkov, and then it's Operation Friedrichs, and they both fit together in a single map and can be played that way. So you get 5 games in one. So Drive on Voronezh, just for me, I'd kind of been sensitized by Holland 44. So many of your market garden games basically have a litmus test victory condition, which is to say, if you don't take the bridge at Arnhem, you don't win, right? So whoever holds it. So all of the other play comes down to this one hex, really. Drive on Voronezh was the same way. It is a perfectly fine game, though. There is nothing wrong with that game. And I enjoyed the play that I did. I just, looking at the victory conditions, it just wasn't for me. So I sold it. That's why it's not here on the shelf. Okay, so that's the past. That's the recent stuff going on in the past. And, kind of a gaming journey of, well, in some cases, self-discovery, right? Drive on Voronezh, Holland 44. I likely will not purchase any more market garden games. I've already had a look, for example, at the It Never Snows game, right, by MMP. As you can tell, let's see, SCS, 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 SCS. I'm rather a fan of that particular game series. It's very approachable, and they had a great feel. The Panzer Battles feel felt really good. It reminded me of the Chair Battles at Inflection Point. They got the feel of it, right? I'm confident that they will have that feel in the future. But in It Never Snows, I believe there are 7 scenarios, and I want to say at least 5 out of the 7, you win or lose whether you control the bridge at Arnhem. And that's a lot of work for one little victory location. I prefer games such as Stalingrad 42, for example. Stalingrad 42 does not have a litmus test, right? It has a series of victory point locations, and you need to get enough victory points to win or not get enough so that you lose. But for example, Voronezh is in Stalingrad 42, and in one of the scenarios, it's advisable, but not specifically required. There are multiple ways to win, and I find that I prefer that a lot more. Personal preference, okay? Let me state this. My final word on Drive on Voronezh is, I didn't like the victory conditions for personal reason. That's just me. I think it's a perfectly fine game, and if it had more expansive victory conditions, and it slightly does, you can win without taking Voronezh, but it's in the name, right? Drive on Voronezh. It would be unsatisfying to do so. Anyway, that's that. Okay, what's going on now? Well, Three Dog, right? 3 days of Gettysburg, simple version. And I've been playing and posted a video on the first activation at Culp's Hill and looking into learning and getting up to speed on that rule set. So Gettysburg. And I've got can you see it over here? Yeah, I think you can. My copy of Sears, Gettysburg. I've got an atlas at the office. Actually, it's a Civil War atlas that covers that nicely. And down, I'm going to move the camera. Down there, I got a copy of Coddington as well. You can see my house divideds, and I've got a unpunched Champion Hill. I've got to decide whether I'm interested in that or not, but we'll have to see what happens. That's for way down the road. Okay, so I'm playing Three Dog. Now, I'm also playing, obviously, Italy 43. You can see the box here, but the contents are on the table. And I'm enjoying the heck out of that. I had seen Wise Guy's video, link below. If I can remember to put the link below. If you don't find that link, let me know, and I'll fix it. I saw Wise Guy's video, Wise Guy History. I saw his video his review video, talking about how it was the grindiest. And I can somewhat agree with that, but I'm in the early going. Okay, reposition. I'm in the early going of this game, right? And I've got the Campania plain right here. So I've got some mobile portions to this battle, and I haven't really gotten into the meat of all of the hills and mountains yet, which is going to be I think it's going to, the battle later on would have a very different complexion. I'm only playing for now the across the Volturno scenario. I think my second target is either to continue for a few more turns or to swap out and go for the Bernhard line scenario, which is, I believe, 13 turns, but it's up in the hills, it's up in the mountains. So we'll have to see how that goes. So Three Dog, Italy 44. And I've got a third one. I got lucky. I would call this luck. I think other people would call it luck too. I use an unused table at the office. It's out of the way, does not interfere with business operations, and I've cleaned it up a time or two when we were having visitors in the office. So, you know, no operational impact, but it gives me something to do sometimes at lunch. And one of my coworkers, apparently back in the day, he played Axis and Allies. And so I showed him a picture of the shelfie and said, hey, why don't you pick something off the top shelf and we'll go for it. He picked, and I'm pointing to where it used to be, he picked Kharkov Battles. Now I'd had that kind of far in the future because I played a lot of, I played a lot of VCS recently. So I played Spring Prelude, and I had also played like really a game plus a half a game plus a third of a game in playtest on Belyy, which, by the way, put it on your list. It's from Legion War Games, designed by Greg Blanchett. This is a good game. It's going to be worthy of a place on your shelf, or preferably on your table. Okay, it's that good. And of course, he's got other games in the series already working their way through the process, such as Olenino, and he has another one called Konev. And together, all three of these games make a nice, I believe it's a 3-mapper Operation Mars. Very well put together, VCS, variable combat systems sort of thing. I want to say it's a Victory in the West route on the game system, on aspects of the game system, but he does it well. Okay, so I'm going to play Kharkov Battles. That's the one he wanted to play, so we're going to have second Kharkov. I don't know if I will make videos because it is a face-to-face. It's at the office, but if my counterpart is amenable, at least I can do some videos while it's on the table, and I'll do a play-by-play, which is generally what I do anyway. So that's what's coming up. When Three Dog, it's going to be a while till Three Dog gets off the table because I'm going to play at least one other aside from Culp's Hill. I'm still trying to kind of grok, and I'm doing an analysis right now on the number of activations required to play the different scenarios. Some of these scenarios, the larger ones, the full battle ones, like Terrible Swift Sword, it can be hundreds of activations, and each activation is a division equivalent with it's a division equivalent, multiple brigades, and each brigade is going to have, what, half a dozen plus regiments in it. So uh, quite a bit of things to do. But I am enjoying the play so far, and there are a number of small, and if not terribly small, then short scenarios. So, and I'm really liking the simple version, by the way. Components are great, etc. All right. Three Dog will eventually come off, probably towards the end of the month. Italy 43, again, probably towards the end of the month. And then the Kharkov Battles, that's likely to go about 2-3 weeks. My opponent is only in the office twice a week in our post-COVID world, so that's that. Now, 1st of September. 1st of September, I'm going to play the Vassal module, and there is a scenario here, scenario 3, which puts together 2 of the maps, and it includes everything from Belyy, and then the northern part of, I think I've got the terminology correct, the Rzhev salient. That's where all of this is going on, by the way. This was Operation Mars, was the idea that they would pinch off the salient and throw Army Group Center into chaos. So I'm going to be opening up a playtest of that. 10 turns, but double the size of Belyy. So that's going to take me much of September. And I don't plan on making videos of that, as it is a play test. So don't know what happens after that. Now, I've slowed down just a little bit on gameplay recently because I'm using part of my available time to do, let's see, well, simplifications. I won't call them game. I won't call them game development work. They kind of are, but I'm not a game developer per se. I'm just a concerned citizen. So I've been doing some things here in terms of, where shall I start? Armored Knights Case Blue. This guy right here, Armored Knights Case Blue. It's a fine product by Grognard Simulations. And it's got a lot of crunch to it, but it's got a lot of nuance. Every bit of crunch has nuance, right? It's actually, it's much the same as what's going on here in the 3 days of Gettysburg. You know, there are a lot of, quite a number of rules in there. This is the simplified version. It's still very good, but there's a much thicker rule book that adds in a whole lot of things that were either abstracted out or intentionally removed from the simple version. They really are 2 separate game systems. But you know, when you up the complexity, but you get you up the crunch, you up the complexity, but you get the nuance, right? You get the feel, and you get what the designer intended. But I've been working on some simplifications. Part of the simplifications are really fall into 2 parts. I will do a video on these eventually when they are fully cooked. But it's Grognard Simulations tends to put out a master rulebook, and they'll do that with the first volume of a game system. So in this case, the Armored Knights Case Blue system, the Don Bend rulebook, had a whole bunch of stuff in it that you don't normally worry about. Okay, it had some campaign type stuff, and it had a lot of weather effects, for example, that you don't really need in Don Bend because the weather is always sunny for this. Don Bend takes place in a 10-day period in July of 1942. The weather's always good. So there's a number of things that you don't particularly need. So I'm coming up with a list of the things that you can bypass, you know, out of the rule book, things you can bypass out of the rule book, simplifications that were suggested by the game designers themselves that would remove a lot of the crunch, not all, but a lot of the crunch. I did an analysis trying to convert odds multipliers, situational odds multipliers, into column shifts, and I believe I've been partially successful but there are so many strength multipliers, you can't take them all out because some of them don't really lend themselves well to that kind of abstraction. But I'll publish what I got. So anyway, and two other things that I will tease at. One is rulebook rewrite. The original Armored Knights Case Blue rulebook is single column, right? Single column across. Not an overabundance of pictures. They've got some, they've got enough to help out. But this is an example page of the fourth version of a rule book that I've been working on, which has this stuff in it, and it has a nice index at the end of it, and it has the full glossary of terms and abbreviations here, along with rules references where necessary. It's got an engineering capabilities table, and it's got a few odds and ends that are not part of the regular thing. And the idea is not just a reformatting, but about half of it has been rewritten to have the same understanding and the same meaning, but maybe to clean up the language a little bit. I've added bullet lists, and I've broken things out into multiple paragraphs, right? Trying not to make it too dense. So that's one thing. Additionally, I've gone from, this is an example, this is what they call the spiral charts book that comes with Armored Knights Case Blue Don Ben. And it's well done, right? Plastic cover, spiral binding, lays flat. It's got everything you need. It also has a certain amount of stuff that you don't. This is for campaign games. Let's see, campaign games. It's got some stuff in here talking about off-map recon for campaign games. A lot of things that don't necessarily apply, or that only apply during what they call the start of day interphase. So I thought, well, hold on. This is, by the way, this is 12 pages, front and back, right? So I thought, well, I played a lot of games. Holland 44, okay. Italy 43, right? It has an 11 by 17 bifold. It's got all your combat charts and a few more, right? And this is what you hold in your hand when you're playing the game. I thought, hey, can I do that? Can I do that for Armored Knights? This is my mock-up. So this is everything that you need to run combat and nothing else. That's true, yeah. Everything you need for combat, nothing else. Got your combat proficiency table, random combat events, the modified, rearranged, basically listing. You note that the artillery and air density table is gone, right? That's one of the simplifications. Though I did leave armor quality ratings present because I kind of like them. And they do, I think they add more nuance to justify the crutch and so on. CRTs, procedure, key to the results, combined arms, everything you need for combat as far as I know. It's still working it out. So, and again, this, I just happen to have it comb bound, but you can see it is equivalent to what's going on here, right? And so your OCS games do the same thing, right? Your OCS games, your OCS games have a 11 by 17 bifold, right? Your Simonich games, 11 by 17 bifold. BCS, 11 by 17 bifold. You got the same thing going on here in Battalion S3, and so on and so forth. Now, I might conceivably do the same thing over here for Guderian Crosses of Muse. I don't know that it quite needs it. It doesn't have the same charts and tables. All right, so these are examples of things that I've been doing. Now, I should get those cooked down and at least initial versions published, hopefully by the end of the month. I'm working on a Vassal module. Actually, I'd worked on it earlier in the year and got it to about 90% complete, and showed it to Chris and Robert over at Grognard Simulations, the designers for Armored Knights Case Blue Don Ben. And they kind of like where it was going. Just the one starter scenario out of this, it takes a lot of work to create a Vassal module. Who knew? but just the one module. I've got a laundry list of things that I need to fix up, but when I fix them up, I'm going to play the Tank Cemetery starter scenario using this 4-pager, and I'm going to also use the rules simplifications and such, and see if I can crank out a faster game. Now, I've got a video series on this. I'll put the link below if I remember. Do remind me. So that's it. That's a lot of the concerned citizen homebrew type stuff I'm doing. I also intend, and it will probably be September or October at this point. I'm a software developer, so a lot of the complexity in games such as Armored Knights Case Blue, in games such as OCS, right? In these complex games, a lot of the complexity comes from uh, decision making, right? Getting informed on decision making, right? Like there's often an intersection between movement and between combat where wouldn't it be nice if you had an overlay showing up? We've seen this in Vassal, right? You can do overlays. You can say, hey, what's my command range? What's my artillery range, right? But I want something smarter. I want something that says, I'm getting ready to move this unit or this stack of units, right? So show me an overlay that shows exactly where I can move them. And oh, by the way, at the frontier, at the extent of the movement footprint, if you will, show me the combat factors that I can project there. And that's going to be highly dependent upon the game system as to what that might look like. But I'd actually done something fairly similar to that for a game called Pacific Islands Campaign Guam. That's a Grognard Simulations title. And I may do a video on that just to gauge reaction. That one I was trying to get an AI together. And I say that in the past tense. I have not walked away or abandoned it, but it's not the highest thing on my what do you call it? I think there's more value. It's not my highest priority. I think there is more value these days, since I've been playing a lot of games. There's more value in coming up with user interface than with coming up with AI. Because I played every single one of these. I've had at least one playthrough that's been solitaire, and I quite enjoy it. Now, I played Normandy 44, Inflection Point, Command and Colors Ancients, and I'm going to have Kharkov Battles coming up pretty soon. Those are going to be opposed face to face. Most enjoyable. And actually, I owe a play. Sorry, Wayne, I'll drop you a line here probably in a couple weeks. I owe a play. It's not that I owe, right? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It's one of those things. Now that I finished Holland 44, I'm in position now to do a Vassal play by email with the guy who actually had introduced me to Normandy 44 back when. So we'll get going on that. All right. What else? By the way, I've got my Post-it note right here that has my script here. It's not really a script, more of a checklist. So that's what's going on. I on a good day, I might get between an hour and a half and 2 hours. I get a touch more on the weekends if I wake up early enough. And I'm trying to have a good game life balance. I don't want to take away from my family, wife, extended family, friends, and such. Though, I'm starting to move to, okay, let's find more friends who do gaming, and let's get those Venn diagrams to overlap. And again, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? So, yep, that's the story here. So I can tell you that aside from the things that I mentioned, I do want to get Crossing the Line on the table. And then Italy 43 came from a poll that I put out. I had no idea. I basically said, hey, viewers, pick one of these four. And Italy 43 came out head and one shoulder above the rest. Every game here had a goodly number of votes, for which I'm very appreciative. And so what I'll likely do is I'll finish up the Italy 43. I've got some other things that I'm doing. But next to the table here is most likely crossing the line at the home table, and I'll knock that out. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but I've got a video, kind of a thank you video for directed at VUCA, because they have outstanding customer support. They sent me a couple of replacement counter sheets because I had bought this at a flea market and it came up short on counters. And so I may not keep it, but darn it, I'm going to play it at least once or twice, like the small scenarios, and see whether I can grok it or not. After that, probably one of these. Although I'm now interested in the last 100 yards, I've discovered my why. Yeah, the last 100 yards basic training. I've discovered my why for tactical games. Right, everybody gets to shoot when you're in tactical games. That's not always the case in operational. And got a lot going on here, but trying to stay, staying busy and occupied, but trying to reach out more and have some more human contact in the loop. So that is the channel update. That's I'll make aside from the, let's pull it out again. Aside from the Olenino playtest, I'll make videos on just about everything that I'm doing, and that's it. That's where we'll go from there. And I'll probably drop another update. Oh, it'll be a month plus. But anyway, my pleasure to do it. I'm really enjoying the heck out of wargaming. I had gotten away. My gaming story is that I'd gotten away from any kind of hex and counter stuff for over a decade, when my kids were younger and when my time was occupied with other pursuits. And I've come back to it with a vengeance is not the right emotional loading on it, but I've come back with a lot of enthusiasm. Got to get that fist in the, yeah, a lot of enthusiasm. So that's what we got going on here. Anyway, hope to hear your comments below. Would love to hear of your gaming experiences. What your thoughts on game life balance, and how you make things work. Where you find time for these things. Disclosure, I suppose. I am still working. I am not retired at this point. I've got kids in high school, and they will at least be out of high school before I retire. So that's another 4 years minimum, but still got a ways to go. Actually, my spreadsheet from Heck, my 401k spreadsheet model tells me that I'm more like 8 to 10 years. So that's doable, I suppose. Anyway, why drag money into it? Well, money is what helps me pay the bills and buy some of these games. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your comments. Love to see those likes, but comments are even better. And thoughts on any of the games up here on the shelf, relative priorities. Comments about the things I said, or for that matter, didn't say. And I appreciate them all on one level or another. All right. I'll see you down the road.